Hi everyone, this is the Recreate Podcast with Michael and Teresa. Today we're talking US Survivor, Season 47, Episode 2. For anyone who hasn't watched the show, there are massive spoilers ahead. In today's episode, bros versus the female version of bros, which we don't really know the word for. Beware advantage. Everyone wants one until they get one. When in Rome, do as the Romans do, which in the case of Rome Cooney, do everything. Andy finally gets the credit he's longed for, his perfect coconuts. If you've missed the episode, you can catch all the action on Channel 9, Survivor US, Season 47, Episode 2, breakdown coming up.
Hello everybody.
Hey everyone! Okay, so we're back with Episode 2 of Survivor US. Okay, so Michael, can you give me a summary for Episode 1?
Oh god, putting me on the spot. Okay.
Yeah, just in 30 seconds, very quick.
Okay, 3 teams. Lavo, Tuku, Gata, red, yellow, blue. Very diverse, interesting cast. First off, Andy has a meltdown after a challenge. He spirals down, he starts to break down, feeling bad, feeling sad. He throws John Lovett under the bus, but in the end, John is the one that goes home. Who was my pick to win it. Sad about that. And Gabe and Rome get beware advantages, but both kind of get caught in the act and are really sus about it. That's the main drama that happened in episode 1.
Yeah, it was really good drama. I really enjoyed it. I mean, considering it's one of the first times I've actually watched US Survivor, I didn't know about the beware advantages, but I can see how they really add drama to the show. Whether it's something I still like, well, that remains to be seen. But I guess, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, so Rome, who has the advantage but hasn't really followed through in fulfilling how far he wants to go with the challenge, decides to confide in Teeny. And poor Rome, man, this guy, he cannot sit still. He's the kid at the back of the class that has to, that eats glue. He just can't sit still. He's so twitchy. And he confides in Teeny by saying, she's the vibe I'm looking for, which is like, what, New Jersey hipster or something?
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah. What is Teeny's vibe? Because it feels like it's a question that she would ask everyone to. Like, okay, hey guys, like let's just stop everything we're doing.
Yeah.
What do you think my vibe is?
I bet you she has a shirt that says like, "What's my vibe? Stop and tell me. Feel free to tell me."
Well, very liberal, I guess. Very Soho.
Very writer, artistic, culturally diverse, gender fluid, very cool woman. Manhattan.
Yeah. Creative.
Yeah, very creative.
Yeah.
She's the vibe he's looking for, but it's ironic because she wants to get rid of him. He's not the vibe she's looking for. It couldn't be more awkward, because then what happens next? He walks in on, the vibe she is looking for is Indian medical doctor. That's the vibe from San Fran. Kishan Patel, that's the vibe she's looking for. So it's interesting. He wants her vibe, she wants his vibe. And no one's reciprocating each other's vibes.
Well, anyway, yeah. So we cut to Teeny actually telling Kishan that Rome has found a beware advantage. Okay, so this is the part where I get like genuinely astonished, because she actually brings him to show the beware advantage. And from behind them, they didn't see, but Rome actually comes walking up, catches them in the act. Yeah, that was a massive, almost like a cringe moment, isn't it?
Been. Like, the only thing missing from it was Teeny saying, "It's not what it looks like," and pulling up her pants. This was literally the equivalent of getting caught with your pants down with another man. Oh my goodness, this was so...
Yeah, I think, I don't think they were expecting that.
Going through another man's idol box when he's not there. And Rome handled it pretty well. I thought he was going to have a massive, like, outburst and start throwing it. But... I mean, Teeny then says her superpower is to talk herself out of any situation, which makes me think that her weakness is getting into situations. If your superpower is to get yourself out of shit, that means you get yourself into shit a lot, girl.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, to be honest, I think that wasn't the smartest move on her part. I mean, she could have told him, which she did. But I think to show him, and in like broad daylight when anything could have happened, when Rome is probably already feeling especially paranoid.
Exactly. I think the play would have been from Teeny's end to maybe just tell Kishan, hey, Rome has a thing. I'm going to keep an eye on him.
Yeah.
Play it chill. And then if she got caught, she didn't show much superpower here. She showed kind of lame game. I would have just said something like, oh, Kishan caught me, Rome. I was just here and he caught me going through it. We have to tell him. We have to include him in our plans. He's caught us, da-da-da. And justifying it that way. But to be caught sort of snitching behind Rome's back, he confided in you and now you've burnt that trust. I don't think there's a way back now for Teeny out of this move. This is going to be tough.
Yeah, and I think as Rome himself puts it, I'm just like, I really cannot trust Teeny at this point. And how could you? I mean, it's so early in the game. She just pretty much broke it the next day, it seems.
Straight up.
Yeah, it's very dubious, I think.
It then forces Rome to pretty much take the immediate the immediate beware advantage of just a single tribal vote.
Well, I was actually going to ask that. Like, say, if Teeny and Kishan hadn't been there, do you think he would have gone on to try and finish another mission so that he could get an idol that would have lasted for 3 tribals?
Sure. The fact that he got sprung or that he sprung them put pressure on him, time pressure. He realized it doesn't matter how long the advantage goes for. Everybody knows about the advantage. I might as well just grab it now. Yeah.
And it kind of like already puts a target on his back because he's like, I'm definitely going to use this for the first tribal. So
grab it.
Yeah, grab it.
It's like what we talked about, the self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, you don't need an advantage, but when you grab it, you do need it because now you've set your own doom in a way. You've set your own demise by going for it because now you put a target on your back. Now you do need the idol. Whereas if you hadn't gone for the idol, people wouldn't be looking for you. That's the irony and the paradox of it all. And then, like, Rome also talks about a bucket list, and he's like, there goes one for the bucket list. I think his gameplay is predicated on this bucket list about ticking off things that he wants to do, like making a fire, getting an idol, going to the NBA, you know, all this crazy shit that he wants to do, being an MC. His gameplay is based on ticking off these things rather than building lasting relationships and playing a subtle game, which is more long-term beneficial. He wants to just do stuff.
Yeah. Like, you know, tick off his achievements. You know, he seems quite very achievement-based, I think. And yeah, I mean, we'll see how long that lasts him in the game.
It can't go well. Playing this style...
It's a bit flashier.
It's all achievement based rather than, like I said, subtle, you know, building up relationships and long-term thinking.
Yeah. And I think, you know, when you do, and I mean, it's good like having a bucket list, but I think when you do have all these things, like say, if you are the challenge beast, you know, if you are strong at challenges, if you are, have had an idol before, if you are achieved, like, you know, maybe in your own field, it actually instantly puts a target on your back because the strongest, fastest is not necessarily the winner, as we've seen in many cases of Survivor. It's often maybe people who are a little bit more under the radar.
Exactly.
Who are a little bit more chill and more cool about it and who actually have a very good social game.
Yeah, exactly. An intentionalized social game with agency. That's what brings you home, as we've seen. And then we come to Tuku Island. And it's a bromantic moment.
The bromance.
The bromance, the bros. We hear the word bro a million times. And they talk about how, Kyle and TK and Gabe are forming this kind of bromantic relationship. I think it's a little bit misleading and a little bit off the mark. They're being identified as bros, these bros all around the island. But let's go through the bros, the real bros on the island, okay?
Okay, firstly, what's a bro?
Okay, bro. A bro, like, okay, if the Avengers had bros out of the Avengers, it would be Thor, Captain America, and Black Panther, okay? Iron Man, not a bro. Spider-Man, not a bro. Star-Lord, not a bro. It's not about masculinity. It's not about macho-ness. It's an identity, okay? So it's like a laid-back, casual... You gotta love sports. You gotta love fitness. You gotta love working out. You gotta love hanging with the bros. It's like a frat culture. Drinking. Bros put bros before the H word that rhymes with bros. We're not gonna say that word, okay? Bros like to party. Bros like video games and sports, movies. They don't like dance choreography and dance TikToks, okay? They don't like art and culture. They like
Beer, I
guy stuff,
guess.
masculine, yeah, stuff. And the negative aspects of it, of being a bro, is maybe a bit over aggressive, a bit over masculine, a bit toxic, a lack
Mhm.
of depth, right? A lack of culture. Bros don't like fine dining. They don't like art galleries. They don't like deep and meaningful discussions. Yeah, bro.
Okay, so
Bro.
now that we know what a bro actually, I'm thinking more like jokes and people who like, I don't know, burgers and
Yeah, that's a
such
bro. That's a
like,
bro.
going to Bunnings.
It's not a bad thing. It's not
Yeah.
a good thing. It's just a bro thing. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So let's go through the crew. Go through the
Okay.
cast.
So who do you think in the cast is a bro and who's not a bro?
Okay, let's work through the tribes one by one. Okay, Kishan, doctor from California, not a bro. I think he's quite effeminate, and I think he's gay. I'm not sure, but not a bro. You know, he's quite animated and expressive, and you know what I mean, cultured and intellectual. I would say. Rome, not a bro. Okay, any guy that just starts dancing in tribal spontaneously and doing Michael Jackson moves, not a bro. Bros don't do that, bro. Bros don't dance. We just lean back, okay? Lean back. Soul Yi, I think he's a bro. We haven't seen much of Soul, have we?
Okay, yeah, we haven't seen much of it. To be honest, I mean, I wouldn't even know, but you've just kind of like picked it out. So
My
I'll be,
Bro-Dar,
I'll be keen to see whether that's right or that's wrong. In if a
yeah,
later episode
true.
comes on.
My Bro-Dar is detecting he's a bro. Like he's stoic, he's masculine, he's just macho. He's
He
in
looks like he could be like
sales.
a line break or like
Linebacker.
in an NFL team.
Yeah, he's pretty sturdy, pretty solid guy. He looks like he drinks beer, works out. Just looks like a man's man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's a bro. Soul's a bro.
And now on to like the Blue Tribe Tuku. Who's a bro?
Okay. TK, bro.
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's the
Athlete,
obvious.
marketing manager. Those three words, it might as well say bro. Okay, athlete, bro. Marketing, bro. Manager, bro. Those three jobs in 3 words, bro. He's the bro of the bros. Okay, Gabe Ortiz, he looks like a bro, but not a bro. This is where it's misleading. All the other ladies think that he's a bro and that they're bonding. He's more of a sensitive guy. He immediately bonded with Sue and wants to connect with Caroline. I think he doesn't really connect with TK in that way. He knows how to put it on, act bro-ish, but he's a lot more. There's a lot more to him than meets the eye, I think, Gabe.
Yeah, I think Gabe's an interesting one because I think from just first perspective,
Yeah.
I would actually have put him as a bro.
Yeah.
But I think now going into like the second episode, it kind of seems like he's maybe not.
Kyle, bro-ish. Okay, like he knows how to connect with the bros, but there's a real sensitivity and awareness and deftness of hand. The way he brought into Tiana with TK and they discussed the politics of the tribe before it got out of hand. That's not what bros do, bro. Bros don't back down. Kyle, however, sensitive. The way he handled it, not bro, but he connects with TK, so he's bro-ish.
He does. And again, we're not saying that being a bro or not being a bro is a good or bad thing.
Nah.
Yeah.
We're not here to judge, bro.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have to say, I think Kyle, like, I think I was very impressed with him, the way how deft he was at handling, a conflict.
Yeah.
And being able to, try and, achieve a resolution.
Yeah. This is all in fun, okay, people? We're just making fun situations. So, we're saying that, like, it's bad to be a bro or whatever. Just, okay.
Yeah, and now we move on to the yellow tribe, which is Gata. Okay, who's a bro?
Okay. John Lovett, not a bro. He's a gay podcaster from California, not a bro. That's fine. He hangs out with the bro of bros, President Obama. So no scratch off his nose. But John Lovett, not a bro. Andy Rueda, I mean, he even describes it himself. Like he had trouble fitting in. He's bi. Bros don't fit in, man. Bros do what they want to do. They walk around with their Lettermans and their jerseys, and they don't care if they fit in. Like bros are just,
Well, they don't have to fit in because people kind of like fit themselves around them.
Now we get to an interesting case. Sam Phelan, okay, like he's a sports reporter. Everything about him is bro, but then he's into musical theater. He gives me like Finn Hudson and Puck vibes from Glee. You know what I mean? Like he's into theater, and sorry to describe 2 guys who have killed themselves only playing, but it gives me those kind of vibes. So he's bro-ish in his sports side, but also has that performance side.
Yeah.
But yet, okay, he doesn't want to connect with the ladies, Annika, Rachel, and Sierra.
Yeah.
And instead, he puts Andy's gameplay ahead of theirs. And so that's a bro-ish move.
Yeah.
And also trying to tune Sierra, very bro-ish move.
That's very bro-ish.
And not working with the girls, very bro-ish. So he's a bro. I put him as a bro.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
Yeah. So tell us what you think in the comments. Is my Bro-Dar broken? I don't know. All in fun, of course. And, you know, we'll see what people have to say. And we'll see how this unfolds. These are all of just initial perspectives, of course, of what a bro is. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So on the island, what I'm getting at is overall only 3 bros. So, you know, sometimes us bros get miscast as bros when we're really not bros.
So, and people think that there's a bromance when there actually isn't a bromance.
There isn't. That's right. It's just guys talking. And I think the ladies are sensing some kind of bond between the guys, but really it's very tenuous, very fragile, not as tight as you would think. So, like, what's interesting to me is there isn't a female version of bros. I mean, we can use the H word, but there isn't, which is, you know, derogatory.
Yeah, or the B word, which I don't feel like really defines the sense of camaraderie that a bro, camaraderie that I think the bro word,
camaraderie,
camaraderie. Sorry,
camaraderie.
I'm sorry. I mispronounce words a lot. Sorry, I get
it's very
for
sweet.
I get teased for it very often.
But like I agree, there isn't the same thing.
Yeah, because we were trying to find a word for it, like bros versus, and then we're like, oh, we start thinking gals, chicks.
But there isn't.
Sisters, not quite hitting the mark. Yeah.
There isn't a word for a group of ladies that bonds together on a basic and intrinsic level, like bros, that girls all call each other from the outset, right? I mean, that's
there's girl power, but I don't think it's the actual word.
No, the fact that it has power in it is an empowerment title that represents an agenda rather than just simply a state or, you know, there isn't the equivalent, which is interesting. And I think in of itself says something, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, like, you know, why do you think there is this divide between, like, men and women in the tribe?
I think it's, I think some of the ladies fear this strong masculine, maybe toxic energy and being left out of it. I think it's easy on the show, especially in the early days, to identify quickly who the physically strong and valuable are. And then other traits such as, you know, ingenuity, creativity, social skills. It takes a little bit longer to identify that, you know?
Yeah.
Which is a shame because, we'll get into that later. But I think early on in Survivor, it does come down to physiques.
It does.
And superficiality. Very early.
It's very early on, like, you know, that's just how it always is. Like, you know, if you have muscle, you're going to win the games, which is what you really want, because otherwise you're going to go to tribal, in which case the weaker ones tend to get picked off. But then that completely flips normally when it comes to merge. And then all the strong ones get picked off and the weak, you know, they bond together. Well, okay, strong and weak probably, well, when I say like maybe physically, you know, but that doesn't actually mean that they are strong or weak.
It's just different those titles either.
Yeah, it's just different attributes, I think.
And so, speaking of strong or weak or somewhere in between, we come to Andy. And last we saw of Andy, he was having a bit of a tough time with the crew. He's feeling left out. He's feeling a little bit isolated and paranoid, let's face it.
Oh, yeah, he was feeling very, I think like, you know, a little bit is probably an understatement. He was feeling a lot. And to be honest, I think we were both concerned. We're like, I'm not sure if this is
his mental health.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is really the show for him, because it's one thing to like have a meltdown, but to have it on national TV, you know, there's just such a big chance of maybe getting, you know, like outside opinions, you know, they can really affect you.
Straight up.
You know, it's really tough.
Yeah, for sure. And then we cut to him walking on the beach with his crew.
He's got a newfound swagger.
He's got a newfound swagger. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, he's got a newfound swag. He's got his hair flowing. He's glowing up. And he says, I think I know where I sit in this tribe now. And they're all like, I can see it on Rachel's face. Like, oh, okay, cool. You know your place. Good. You're going to be controllable. And then he says, I want to be a lightning rod. And you can see her just being like, that is not what I meant, Andy. Okay. So a lightning rod, I had to look this up because I thought I knew what it meant, but I wasn't sure. Is someone who attracts a lot of attention, positive or negative or controversial. Okay, so a lightning rod is someone who stirs their shit, basically.
Well, it's someone not stable.
Yeah, exactly. And Andy's like, I want to be a lightning rod. I know who I am now. I want to. He's entering his supervillain arc, basically.
Yeah, I think he does go through quite a lot of different changes, like from up to down. It's very much a roller coaster ride with him. It really just depends on the mood. Like, he can go be very be very paranoid suddenly and suddenly be like, almost euphoric.
And and we see that because it's the opposite of what they want, but now they're stuck in this dilemma of having him on the tribe because they chose him.
Yeah.
And having to appease him. And so the next scene we see is him, which is scary, with a machete chopping a coconut. I've never seen a young man getting applauded so enthusiastically with a knife. This is terrifying imagery.
Yeah, I know. It's a really funny scene, I think. And I think it throws back to the first episode where he's like, everyone was cheering for John when he was chopping a coconut, but no one was
cheers for
me. But this was the exact opposite, where everyone was like, yeah, arms up in the air.
Let's go, Andy. Let's go. That's the perfect coconut, Andy. Yay. It was like parents cheering on their baby for pooing in their diapers and like, yay, baby did poo-poo. It was so scary, condescending. And then you see Andy on his face holding the knife up and being like, yay, they like me. They really like me. It was so bizarre, but so cute at the same time.
Yeah, well,
it made Andy really lovable in a way.
It does. And I think, he does have these arcs where he can go for like, you don't know if he's going to get voted out. And then it's like, he did a comeback.
Yeah.
And, and now he's got this, he's being included in the group again. But I think we all know it's probably quite a superficial, take. Because as Rachel says, he really wants to be included and he wants connection. And we want his strength to win challenges, but also we want him to be the easy boot. So there's just a lot of layers going on.
I think that's going to backfire on Annika. I mean, she describes him as being a toxic, clingy boyfriend. Ouch, ouch, ouch.
Annika,
that's what I said.
Yeah.
Did I say that, Rachel? Sorry?
You said Rachel.
Oh, sorry. I meant Annika.
Yeah.
And Annika has an extensive online dating profile, apparently. So she knows toxic, clingy boyfriends, apparently. But in LA, I'm sure there's a lot of guys there. But she tags him as that, being
needing
toxic.
Words of affirmation?
Yeah, needing words of affirmation, needing encouragement, not knowing when to stop, basically. Not being able to read the room. Just all those associations. So I feel like he's on the in, but kind of socially on the out. But I think Annika, Sam, Rachel, and Sierra underestimate how shrewd Andy is. And we see that in the next scene.
Yeah, which, so there are three girls, Sierra, Rachel, and Annika, they go off, I think, looking for an advantage on Idol. And we have Sam babysitting Andy because he just simply cannot be left alone.
He can't be trusted alone. Which is nuts because Sam is then on babysitter duty and you see him basically trying to appease and affirm Andy in every way. Like, you're as valuable to me as I am to you and I appreciate you and just... I think Andy's seeing through it because, like, Sam, he's a bro, as I said. And everything he says has a sports metaphor, right? Like, he's just one of those guys that his head cannot escape the realm of sports. Like, he loves sports. And Andy is not that kind of guy. And as close as, no matter how much they try to bro with each other, it ain't broing. The bro ain't broing. And I think Andy senses that because the minute Sam turns his back, Andy's out.
Yeah, I think so. And I think Andy, when he's with other people, it's, he probably doesn't go too much into his head, but when he's left alone, it can just very easily spiral into a lot of neurosis.
Thoughts,
Which I think is a really hard state to be in, when you're on an island and, it feels like high school again.
Yeah, and he jets off and Sam comes back and is like, where did he go? And next thing you know, Andy is at a mangrove, he's looking around, and he happens to find an advantage.
Okay, so this is where I get crazy. A little bit skeptical because I'm like, this is a huge island. Okay, how easy do you think it is to actually find an idol or an advantage?
Like, we saw some shots. This island is immense. I cannot believe it. and then later we see obviously it getting the same one being found again after he hides it. I think it's impossible to find. I think maybe the show has limited spaces or confines where they put the idols and advantages so that people can find them in a realistic manner.
Yeah.
Because if they actually have to look over this entire island in the way it's portrayed on the show, impossible.
Yeah.
More than a needle in a haystack.
Yeah.
This is a needle on an island.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I mean, I
impossible.
could hide an idol in our backyard, you
Yeah.
know, and you would not be
I would
able
not be
to
able to find it. My dog could, but it's impossible. I find it a little bit implausible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we've always had this theory is that if there's an idol to be found and if it's the right person, the cameraman might maybe point his camera at that spot.
Yeah.
And just wait for someone to to
stumble upon it
stumble
and
upon
put
it.
it together.
Yeah,
There's
because
a crew hanging out there.
Yeah, you forget that sometimes there's actually cameramen all around
Everywhere.
you, like maybe urging you, giving you hints and clues. I'm not saying that there is, but there could be.
Yeah. And so he finds it, he tucks it away.
What do you think about that move? Because I was actually surprised. I was actually so sure he was just gonna go for it.
Well, obviously, at the time I thought it was a genius move because that way you can take it when you need it. Like, you don't need, if you take that idol now, you have to play it now, or you have to at least take the beware with it, right? So that means you have to follow through on all the tasks that it says to get the advantage, or you have to play it at the first tribal. If you hold off, maybe you can get it when you need it, maybe in a couple tribals time when you do need it, you know.
Right.
Maybe it isn't, having it in the pocket is better than, you know, taking it, however, or putting it in the bush is better than, in the bush. What the fuck is that saying? Two birds in the bush. I don't even know the saying anymore. Forget it. But
Yeah.
look, I thought at the time it was a good play.
Yeah.
But it turns out that it wasn't because he loses it.
Well, it must be. It seems like it's a very prominent spot if two people can find it
I found
at
that
the same time.
unbelievable. That Sam would find the same advantage in the same spot where he hit it just minutes later. That is unreal.
Well, I mean, it is quite an interesting. I mean, I don't know. It seems like it's a tree or a mangrove swamp, so there's like lots of branches. So maybe
Yeah.
it's quite an iconic, kind of like landmark spot on
I
the
think
island.
that's it. I think maybe there's an art to finding idols, right? Like, they're going to be hidden, but they're going to be in signature spots. Like, if there's a
Yeah.
massive tree, it's likely to be in the hollow of that tree. If there's a big rock or cave, it'll like what you're saying, it'll be
Yeah.
in somewhere signature, identifiable, recognizable, like that. It's not just going to be in a
Like-
shrub in the ground.
Yeah, it's not going to be under like somewhere common. It's like
Yeah.
that Harry Potter, Voldemort, wanting to
Yeah.
wanting to like plant what is it, a port, not a portkey, a hollow or something.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
gonna hide them in places that are glorious,
Or has
signature,
meaning.
have
Yeah,
meaning.
has meaning.
Good
I think.
call.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay, so we
Jeff
go on
Props
to-
is like Voldemort, basically.
I don't know. I haven't seen that much to make that connection.
Okay,
so
well-
moving on. So we have Sam actually finding the
Yep,
idol
yep.
with Annika.
So this is a big cluster F, man. He finds it with Annika. Okay, then Annika tells Rachel. He then thinks Annika's gonna tell Rachel, so I have to tell Rachel. So he tells Rachel, but then I also should tell Sierra because I have a crush on Sierra.
Well, that's his hypothesis. Okay, so he had
Sam
this
clearly
hypothesis
has a crush on Sierra.
before we actually saw the trailer
Yeah.
for episode 3. Okay, so he already had this hunch, and I was like thinking maybe there is something there.
For sure, because like Sam is a bro kind of guy. She's kind of like a cheerleader type of girl. He's exactly the kind of girl that he would go for. You know what I mean? He's not going to go for a fashion designer. He's not going to go for a waitress out of Manhattan. He's going to go for a feminine, pretty country girl because he's a handsome country guy.
Yeah.
So she's exactly his type of girl. I
Okay.
guarantee you. He's just going to connect with her
Yeah,
and
yeah.
see something in her that reminds him of home. And he's going to be immediately attracted to her, I think.
Well, do you think she feels the same way?
No, I think she... No, I think she has a lot of game going on. She's there to play the game, not there to flirt.
Yeah.
I think she has a head on her shoulders that wants to win this game.
Yeah, and Sam is one of the, the shoulders that can take her there.
Yeah, exactly. So then Sam tells Sierra, And then after that, Andy goes back to the tree, can't find it, and confides in Sam.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. So pretty much everyone in the tribe knows that there's an advantage floating around.
This was crazy. This was like a Woody Allen film. Just crazy gossip going around and around. It's a
Yeah.
comedy of errors.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who has it, but everybody knows.
Yeah, so I think it's one of those things where, like, say, because the tribe is so small in US Survivor,
Yeah.
like, this would never have happened, I think, in, like,
No.
Australian Survivor. I mean, you might have half the team knowing,
Yeah.
but because you have 5 people is nothing,
Yeah.
you know, on a tribe, you know? So
Exactly.
pretty much everyone's in everyone's business. And that's where I think things get really heated up. So what did you think about Andy telling Sam
I think
that
it-
he could have found an beware advantage?
I think it was brilliant because even though he didn't necessarily have the intentionality of what the consequences would mean in the long run, the trusting of Sam turns to his advantage because Sam shows off his acting chops, which involves dropping his mouth wide at Gabe and going, wow. But he firstly then later decides to tell Sierra that he wants to play the idol for Andy.
Yeah.
So his trust in Sam is repaid twicefold because Sam, I think, has a protective feeling around Andy, be it misguided or misled or not. I think he feels like he should look after Andy and that Andy's an easy number, especially given the fact that he's surrounded by 3 women who he has a fear of. Like, you know, it's the opposite of the bro effect.
Yeah. I think so.
Right?
I think if I was Sam, I would probably feel a little bit concerned that I am. Well, if Andy does go, like say
Yeah.
in the next tribal, who is there left to vote out except
Exactly.
Sam? So he kind of almost needs to play his hand first in order
Exactly.
to, you know, maybe vote out one of the girls, maybe Rachel or Annika,
Exactly.
just to neutralize all that female feminine energy around.
Exactly, but the thing is, they all know he has the idol, so the way he
Yeah.
plays it is going to be very interesting. He's got some moves ahead of him, though. I think
Yeah.
on that tribe, he's
Yeah.
the one that has the power, obviously with the
Yeah,
idol,
I
but he
think
also
so.
has all the knowledge. Everybody else has partial knowledge of who has what and everything. He's the only one that has all the knowledge, and
Well,
that's the powerful situation.
What
to
do
be
you
in.
think is going to happen when they do get... Okay, we're still very far
I
off
think-
from
yep.
tribal for
Yep.
Gata, but let's just say if we're now
Yep.
at tribal for Gata, what do you think is going to
I
happen?
think what will happen is the 3 girls will target Andy. Sam will play along with that. Then he'll play the idol for Andy, and then he'll take out Annika. And
Okay.
he might bring Sierra into his confidence and say, look, this is how it's going to play. I have the idol. This is the way it's going to go. And that's how I think he'll try to play it. The only back thing to backfire on that is if Sierra betrays him.
I was going to ask, do you think Sierra will
Yeah.
betray him?
I don't think so. I think she sees strength in Sam. I think,
Yeah.
you know, she sees long-term possibility with Sam.
Yeah. Or at least she will... She might backstab him, but not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
It's interesting to see how it might play.
Yeah.
And then with Andy, the other, you know, wild card is Andy. He is a wild card. He might do
is.
something crazy and unpredictable that no one knows. So
Yeah, that's true. Like he might decide to like go
Yeah.
with you know, with Rachel because like, you know, like he says he places trust in Rachel.
Yeah.
So who knows whether that will be misplaced or not.
yeah, and so that sort of rounds out the Garda tribe. And before we get to Tuku, who's the main thrust of the tribe, we visit Lavo and Rome. And Rome is a lot. Rome is on the beach, he's breakdancing, he's popping, he's locking, he's talking about his NBA career. He tries rapping and then he stops and says, it's in my head.
I think he brags about how quickly
Oh.
he can get a fire going, which is 16 seconds.
And then he can't get it going at all. And Kisha comes in and does it. And he even talks about how he has aspirations of going on the On Fire podcast, to which Aisha raises her eyebrows as if, you want to go... You think you can podcast? Baby, I podcast. Okay? You can see Aisha just, nah. For those of you that don't know, Aisha is the well-known Survivor podcaster. No one on the tribe seems to realize this, but she's on the biggest Survivor podcast in the world, which is Rob Has a Podcast. And yeah, Rome's there talking all this smack to Aisha. It's like, you know, standing next to Michael Jackson saying, yeah, I dance some. You know what I mean? And it's so interesting how Aisha's just biting her tongue.
Yeah. Well, to her credit, I think, you know, I was actually going to say, like, Aisha, I think if I was on an island, like, you know, like, hypothetically, if I do, like, you know, Survivor, like, some of the, like, you know, I think I would really like to get to know Aisha. Like, well, like, because we're like, which players do you think will get on your nerves? Which players do you think you would get along with?
yeah.
Like, I think that's always a very interesting question depending on
Let's get into
personality types.
Okay, let's get into that. Who do you think you would bond with and not bond with on each of these 3 tribes?
I think I might, I think Aisha, I think I would like to get to know better. I like Sue. I quite like Caroline, to be honest. Like, and Caroline is on Tuku, so she's on the blue tribe.
Yeah.
So she's quite forward, almost stoic. Like, not much expression, but I quite like her because I think she seems quite blunt in a way, and
direct,
that makes her seem authentic in a sense.
Yeah, well, I would probably connect quickly with.
Well, I know you would like John.
I think I could work. I'd love to work with him. Yeah. He's so articulate, well spoken, witty.
Yeah.
I'd find him very entertaining and just pleasant to be around. So, John, if you're listening, I want to know you. We haven't seen anything of Sol, so I don't know anything about him. But
he seems quite chill.
Yeah. I find the other dudes kind of would get on my nerves a little bit, a bit much. I think maybe I could bond with Aisha as well. Maybe Kyle. I think.
Oh, Kyle will be a good one. I've always thought,
I could work with those kind of people. I think. Kind of relaxed, chill, the energy. It's my kind of vibe.
But then again, this is how we think, like, we will play. Yeah. And there will be fact check, as John says, against how we actually play.
Yeah, who knows? And so we get to Tuku, and Gabe is pulled aside by TK, and they're like, us 4 are strong, right? And his words are saying yeah, but his body's saying nah. And I find it so interesting that no one is picking up on this. Like, his body language to me is so clearly negative to the suggestion. He's folding his arms. He's not making eye contact. He's got a furrowed brow. All this, I feel like stronger players would have picked up on this body language in the past. Like, say, a David from Australian Survivor, or a George, a Ferris. These kind of... Sorry, my references are only about the Australian Survivor, but I feel like these kind of really skilled players would have picked up, hey, Gabe's trying to fuck me here. He's not with us.
Yeah,
because I could see it in his body language when they were by the water.
I think you picked it very early in episode 1, and at that time I was like, I don't know if Gabe is really on TK's thing, but I actually wasn't quite able to pinpoint exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I think for Gabe... Oh, actually, I kind of forgot what point I was going to make. So
no, all good. Yeah, well, he seems like he's with the bros.
Yeah,
but
he seems
not.
like And to be honest, I think he's actually got a secret alliance with Caroline and Sue. And to quote Gabe, Caroline and Sue, these are wounded birds that I want to keep, and I want to keep these birds, keep them in and keep them warm.
The language.
Yeah, which I thought was a little bit, was condescending. Not a little bit.
Oh my god, this language is like, if these were texts or emails, this guy would get cancelled. Like, he's describing women as wounded birds, and how he wants to protect them.
I'm just like, I'm not sure if he's like being encouraged to say these kind of things on television, because I don't know if it comes across very, very well.
Yeah, I don't know if it's all this energy and talk and thinking about bro this episode, but this comes across very sexist, very demeaning and condescending.
Well, I won't lie. I mean, I had quite a bit of an eye roll when he said that, wounded birds,
Yeah, it doesn't sound good. But Gabe and Caroline are still gonna... Sue and Caroline are still going to sort of work with him for now. Well, the interesting thing is, right, Gabe goes direct to Caroline and says, I want to work with you. I really like your game. Let's work together.
Yeah.
And, okay, in the past, players would straight up say, yeah, 100%, I want to work with you too.
Yeah.
She doesn't do that. What does she do?
Yeah, I find that very refreshing because... so in Australian Survivor, we have a runner-up. She's actually been a runner-up twice, I think.
Yeah.
Her name is Shan, and she would go to different players and be like, 100%, I'm totally with you. I'm on this vote.
Says yes to everything.
Says yes to everything. And what happens is when she actually, doesn't go with everyone, but she has overpromised. And we've seen in 2 survivors, she's always been in the top 2, but never the winner.
Yeah.
So I find Caroline very refreshing because it's very it's very hard to be honest with people in a strategic game.
Ah, so hard. I've never seen this
Yeah.
in a long time for her to say, look, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
I'm curious about how this relationship might go.
Yeah.
I don't fully trust you. I'm skeptical, da-da-da.
Mm-mm.
And you know what? I think when someone speaks to you in such a blunt and honest manner, you can trust them.
Yeah.
So-
That's almost like a certain like, okay, well, at least they're being honest.
At least they're being honest,
Yeah.
but at least they're being honest.
Yeah.
Because that's the best thing about
That's
her.
the best thing
is
about
that
her.
she's being honest. So
Yeah.
I can work with you, Caroline.
Yeah.
I would be like, okay, at least she's going to tell me which way the wind is blowing. If I'm
Mm-mm.
screwed, she's going to tell me the truth. She's not going. She's going to backstab me. She'll probably tell me I'm going to backstab you. I'm going to blindside you. She's just so straight up. It's just ironic because of all the people to all the reactions to give to someone. Her reaction's actually the most refreshing, honest, and
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
And so I would straight up work with her. But the thing that Gabe does is he decides out of this to show her his idol.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing, huh? Like, what did you think about that? Do you think that works in terms of gaining trust?
I think it did here. I mean, he takes out his idol. He's like, and she's like, "Yep, that's it." And by the way, this idol is the smallest idol I've ever seen.
Well, I don't think it's an actual idol. They say it's actually an advantage.
Oh man, it's a little bracelet from Glebe Markets. It's a little trinket. It's no idol at all. I can't believe how petty and puny it looks. Like this is something that any of the contestants could have smuggled on in their sock. And I just think when the idol is so unimpressive and so mundane and ordinary, it's easy to fake.
Yeah, and it looks like a keychain. Okay, and if David, okay,
man.
from Australian Survivor, who's one of the past winners,
Yeah.
so what he
Oh.
did was pretty spectacular. He actually managed to create a fake idol,
Yeah.
and give it to someone else and have them actually think
He
that it
would
was
have
yeah.
an AliExpress shop. If he was on this season, he would have an eBay e-commerce site selling fake idols.
Yeah, I
by
mean,
the time he saw this idol, it is so duplicatable and easily replicable that it's unimpressive and
yeah.
I'm a bit skeptical. Like it's so easy for people just to make up and say, "Look, I got one."
I know. I mean, Sierra.
Maybe that's the intention.
I think Sierra has this necklace of beads that she's wearing on her neck.
Oh,
she
she
could have
could-
easily just taken one off and be like, "I've got an
I've got one too.
advantage."
Maybe that's the intention of the show.
Maybe.
By making these things so easy to make that it tempts the players to take things into their own hands.
Which
And
would be amazing.
It would be amazing.
Yeah.
And so he shows Caroline this advantage, and then Caroline goes to Sue and says, "He showed me his advantage. He did. It's impressive, isn't it? Yeah, it's." And then they decide to trust Gabe on that. I think that move, showing Caroline, swings the fate of this episode in many ways. One of the turning points of the episode.
Okay.
But the other turning point is coming up, and that is in the challenge.
The challenge, yes. Okay, so firstly.
Oh, before we get to that,
Yeah.
there's the nap.
The what?
TK's nap.
Oh, the nap. Okay.
Well,
With
there's not much to talk about, but TK says the word bro about 100 times, while Sue and Tiana are trying to take a nap. That's about it.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
get, like, it's bro this, bro that, bro. Oh, UFC,
know.
bro. Sports, bro.
So I think
bro.
we can start to see that TK is
Oh.
already starting to become quite annoying to the girls.
Yeah.
I think he comes off as quite dominant. I think he's always talking.
He doesn't read the room, too.
Yeah.
He doesn't, like...
Doesn't quite read the room, I
doesn't
think.
know... Like, we all
when
know
it's
that...
time to shut up.
We all know guys like this that just talk and don't listen. And
Okay, guys and girls. Okay, so this is
Yeah,
not
okay.
like just a male thing. Like, I
No,
think this can
no.
manifest in both genders,
For
to be
sure,
fair.
for sure. Apologies to both genders, but TK is bringing that energy, man, and
Yeah.
it's starting to get on Sue's nerves, Tiana's nerves. The only one that seems cool with it is Kyle. He seems to love everything. Kyle's so chill.
Yeah. Okay,
Uh,
so back to the challenge.
yeah.
So, okay, just before we go into the what happened at the challenge, firstly, I think it's a really good challenge. And in the previous episode, we've commented about how Australian Survivor challenges differ from US
Yeah.
challenges. I think this one had a really good mix of everything. You're in the water, which, is a spectacular
Yeah,
landscape
always good
to
to get in
shoot.
the water. Yep.
Yeah, there's some strength challenges. And then there's one, which is the last challenge, is the one that I really like, where you have to be really finesse with maneuvering a little ball
yeah.
across a curved rod,
Yeah,
is the way I can describe it.
and three people have to use coordination to
Yes.
control this ball together, so they each have to give and take and communicate to move this ball across this like maze. It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah,
It's
it's
scary.
tough. Yeah.
And yeah, and it's also before the challenge. Actually, it's the first time the tribe gets a look at the new Garda tribe without John, and there's some raised eyebrows. I think everyone was surprised that
That-
Andy wasn't voted out.
Yeah.
I
and
think, yeah, JLP on the Australian one would have put them on the spot and said, "What do you think of that?"
Yes.
Which
So
we didn't get.
I felt like there was a little bit of a missed opportunity here.
Mm.
So what typically happens in Australian Survivor when the tribe comes forward and the other tribe can see who's been voted out, JLP, which is Jonathan Lapagnia, the host, he will ask them, okay, what do you think about this? Was this what you expected?
Yeah.
Which I think can give an indication as to how the other tribe perceives.
Yeah, and it's also a great opportunity to stir some shit too.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
Which I thought this was an opportunity missed. I thought, like, stir some shit, Jeff. Stir some shit. Get them talking bad about each other, saying they don't know who they're getting rid of, or they just voted out their strength, or they just voted out one of their smartest players. They must be lost. I love that stuff. Unfortunately, we didn't get it, but all good. But you know who did get something? Rachel. Rachel got rice, bitch.
Yeah, she did. I think it's the first ever time that this has been done on Survivor. And I think when I saw it, I was like, oh, wait, she's actually putting rice into her pocket.
Ew.
And then I was like thinking,
She's
oh,
making
yeah,
congee.
but then, yeah, they might not have rice. What do you think they have? So they probably have beans and coconut? Is that what they get?
I don't know. They're left to fend for themselves. It's only a month, I guess. So they're not... On the Australian Survivor, they're given a steady supply of rice and beans, I think. But here, she's clearly smuggling rice into her pockets. Poor girl is hungry.
Yeah,
That is desperate act.
But it's really funny,
It's
I
really
think.
funny. The other thing that's funny is Andy with a machete. I've said this before in the episode, but here we see him again hacking furiously away at a sack of rice with a machete. Terrifying imagery. Imagery.
For some reason, whenever Andy has a machete, it always raises my eyebrows.
Yeah. And so in the end, Yellow wins.
Yellow and red.
Yellow and red win the challenge, and so it's Tuku off to council.
Yeah, and so what happens after Tuku loses is that Jeff, he puts forth a statement and it's like, wow, I see a lot of smiling faces. And TK is not happy about that, and he really voices out his opinion, which kind of sets off Tiana in the wrong way.
Yeah, I didn't like what he did here. He went full Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant here, where it's like losing is not acceptable, no smiles in the locker room, I'm all about winning. Look, some people just treat winning and losing differently. It doesn't mean that they're not trying as hard or they don't take it as deeply. I know guys after the game, they would play music, some guys would tell jokes, some would go party, some would go out, and some would just sit in their car and cry. Not everyone reacts to defeat in sports the same way, but like I say, TK, he seems to have grown up with this Michael Jordan winning is everything mentality, which is how a lot of young men grow up.
Well,
these
like
days.
he says, he's actually always played sports and always been in like that team
I
sports
recognize
kind
that
of
type of attitude
yeah,
straight
yeah.
away.
You recognize
it's
it
like-
straight away.
Yeah, and then afterwards, he's saying like, I'm gonna start telling people what we're doing from now on. I'm not gonna tolerate this stuff. This is my tribe. This is how we're doing it. I'm the alpha male. I'm gonna run this like a sports team. And man, I think he just misses out on so much of the nuance, the subtlety, the social dynamics that are really going on in this game. This isn't real life. This isn't a sports team. This is Survivor, TK, man. You should know.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can't help yourself.
You can't help yourself.
From being yourself, right?
I know, and I'm sure,
Oh.
if he was watching it, he'll be like, "Oh, I would have done that so differently." Because you think you just go there and you know what to
Yeah.
do, but when you're in a very stressful situation,
So, yeah.
when you're,
So-
especially in a circumstance that you hate, like for TK, that would be losing, which would be
Yeah,
good call. The ultimate.
Yeah, it would give him he'd hate
ego knockdown. Yeah, I'm sure he was. He was. I think he was maybe quite a bit dismissive and maybe.
Yeah, and it's because
about
he talks about Tiana and Sue and some of the other members as not caring as much about winning. But hey, it's Survivor.
It's Survivor.
Like
Yeah.
you're juggling a little ball on a piece of wood. Like just because you suck at it or you lose doesn't mean anything. It's such a random game.
Yeah, and other people might not have the same winning mentality as you. They might be
Yeah.
actually quite okay. Okay, well, yeah, we lost this one, but we'll get the next one.
I think his mindset needed to shift here very quickly. Instead, he seemed kind of stuck on the winning losing mindset.
Well, there
And
was a little bit of an opportunity, didn't you think, when
yeah.
Carl, because I think this is where Carl was actually very good. He was like,
Oh
okay,
yeah.
I'm going to try and bring these two together because obviously we have, well, Carl, Tiana, and TK, they have an alliance of
Yeah.
three,
Yeah.
and he could see that there was something not going right, and he actually,
Kyle was
put forth
super
this,
deft here.
very good, like
I
very
thought he showed
diplomat.
sensitivity, awareness, an ability to read the room. He didn't read it in the long term play of how it was actually going to play out,
Mm,
but he tipped off TK and said, "Look, this is how Tiana's feeling.
mm,
She's feeling because of this. Maybe it's a good idea to address that."
yeah.
And that was a very smart play by Kyle. I think he shows sensitivity and social awareness. But unfortunately, instead of just apologizing to Tiana, TK comes up to Tiana and he's like, I need you to do this. If you have a problem with me, I need you to tell me straight up. This is the way it is. Like, I'm kind of sorry, but I'm not. Very
Oh,
mansplaining, very toxic masculine energy, if I have to say so. I'm sure
yeah.
TK looks back on this and is like, damn, I could have played that better, man.
I know,
But
I know.
you're in the moment and he kind of
Let
came
us,
across
yeah.
a little bit strong arming over the others.
I think so. I think he didn't really give her a chance to talk.
Yeah, he didn't. He just told her how things were going to be and expected her to go with it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way things can. The game, I've seen it so many times before, where the game gets away from certain players. They get into this comfort, this mindset, this mentality that they are the strongest on the tribe. They're the man. They're masculine. They're needed. They're wanted. That things are just going to fall into place the way it does in society, like high school, and that they can dictate the way things are going. But as we see, that's the beauty of this game.
Yeah,
You
it
you,
is.
you never know what's going to happen, and it can backfire.
Yeah. And so we really see that happening when we go into tribal.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is, I mean, Sue brings this up about how she feared this bromance forming about three men on top and the three women at the bottom. And Jeff is immediately like, but it's equal.
It is equal, actually.
It's equal.
Yeah.
Why do you see it like this? I mean, think of great players like Sandro. They don't allow these divisions and gender roles and profiles to dissuade her. She sees the numbers purely as numbers.
Yeah, I have to say, I think Sandra, so that's from US Survivor.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is really chill. Like, she just pretty much sees like little groups, but she counts them as numbers.
Yeah.
And she doesn't let, like, say, stereotypes or like group dynamics really like change her opinion on how
Exactly.
things are going
And
to
that's
go.
why she's a two-time winner and able to sway the numbers
Mm.
so well. Because Sue, I think, sees things as maybe her, experiences, obviously, that, these guys are going to bond together. They're going to do things. I'm going to
And they're
get
gonna
left
like
out.
maybe get left out. And to be honest, I
Yeah.
think Sue is actually very accomplished.
She's
I
so
don't see why, like, she should be left out. I mean, she was a pilot.
And a
She
flight
owns
school.
a flight school. I mean, like, do you
She's
know how
running shit.
how accomplished, how
Yeah,
smart you have to be to do that?
Yeah, she's very successful, very wealthy, very accomplished. She's in New York. She probably owns New York. I don't know, but she as she says, I've done the most. I have the best job.
Yeah.
But people underestimate me. They think of me as the bottom, and they did. TK
They think of
did.
her as a wunderbird. Sorry, I have to go back to Gabe a little bit.
Well, Gabe said
because-
she's a wounded bird.
Yeah, she's a wounded bird. I was like, I don't even know where he gets. Okay, maybe a bird, but I don't know why he thinks of a wounded. But to be honest, I think Gabe can maybe be actually a little bit condescending. I think he's still quite
Yeah.
young, maybe a bit immature. But I would love for Sue, nothing more than I would love for Sue to blindside Gabe and be like, take that little one.
Take that, you little bird. I'm no one's bird, bitch.
Yeah, I'm the mother hen.
Yeah, on the mother hen. Good call. Yeah, but we'll see how that plays out. But what happens is TK, he just did a little bit too much, I think, this
Yeah.
episode. And he ended up getting voted out.
Yeah. Were you surprised? Well, okay, so what happens is they go to vote.
Yeah.
And then Gabe actually pulls out the idol. Now,
Wow.
I was surprised. Okay, I was actually genuinely surprised when he actually pulled out
was
the
like,
idol.
Okay, I thought he was going to play it for Sue.
For
and I
Sue,
was like,
yes.
good move. Yes,
Yes.
Gabe. Go. Intentionality. Instead, he played it for himself.
Yeah, I thought that there was really a missed moment there.
Man.
Yeah, why do you think he did that?
Well, I think what you pointed out is that Caroline spooked him. Caroline said, look, everyone on the island has been cool and chill except for Gabe, who has been hunting for idols. and being an Indiana Jones or something, right?
Yeah.
And that spooked Gabe.
I think so.
And Gabe thought, okay, I need to play this for myself. I need to preserve myself. I'm in danger. Had he played it for Zoo, it would have been an epic move.
It would have been an epic move.
It would have given him points. As it turns out, he misplayed an idol, which is negative points.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about playing an idol. It's like, okay, there's, there's nothing worse than actually, okay, not having an idol is a bad thing, but there's something worse than that is actually having an idol but playing it wrongly. Yeah. I think that's just seen as like the ultimate
faux pas. That's negative points, right?
Yeah, that's negative points almost.
But when you play it well and you play it deftly, it can swing the tide of the entire show.
Yeah.
You know, I think he had an opportunity here. Even though the vote was settled on 2K, he had the opportunity to send it more in that direction and to at least read where the wind was blowing.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've seen the show reward players either by the final vote or by perception, that players that know where the wind is blowing and how the dynamics of the group are rewarded.
Yeah. This reminds me of an episode in Australian Survivor. I think it's Champions versus Contenders or Contestants. And there was a football player, Matt Rogers. Yeah. He played an idol, not for himself, but for someone on his team. Yeah. And he read it so well. And his team member actually, got saved. And it's a really hard thing to be able to play an idol for someone else.
It takes a lot of
guts. Like really so much,
Yeah, because
balls,
when you're on the firing line, everybody's vulnerable.
Yeah.
You're scared, you're at tribal, Jeff's there telling you votes are about to be read. It's terrifying.
It's terrifying.
Of course you want to save your own skin, your own neck. It takes a lot of nerve to execute that at the moment of truth.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think for Gabe, he probably didn't play this so well.
Yeah.
Which, TK was pretty, glad about, because I think when Gabe played the idol for himself, he was like, oh, perfect. I think he said it very, very quietly.
TK didn't see this coming, though. This was a blindside all in all. It ended up being 4-2. Only TK and Kyle voted. Sorry, gotta let my dog out.
Sorry, guys. We have a dog and he needs to be let out.
Only TK and Kyle voted for Sue, but otherwise it was 4v2. TK didn't see it coming. How do we think about TK's game?
To be honest, I think it's actually it's quite good. I think he did he's very good at challenges. He's very physical.
Yeah.
And I think maybe if he had been given a chance to, he might have maybe led the team a little bit further along the track. Maybe they might not, now I do worry about whether they have the physical prowess to move through challenges, but we'll see.
I think that's the thing. On certain formats of Survivor, I could see TK really shining.
Yeah. Yes.
You know what I mean? Where on a larger tribe with a few more men, where maybe the challenges are more physically orientated, he could have shined so much.
Imagine if TK is with Sam, in the same tribe, maybe with Soul.
He could have gone a long way, but unfortunately he was surrounded by a certain dynamic in the group and he didn't fit quite well into it enough to play it the right way.
Yeah, probably wasn't, he couldn't pivot quickly enough.
He couldn't pivot quickly enough and he relied too much on that bro energy, as we say.
Yeah.
And that ended up being his downfall, I think.
But to be honest, I think, like he says, his light shines very bright.
He does.
I think
a beautiful smile. He's a good-looking
great.
guy.
Yeah, no, and
he'll be okay.
Yeah, he'll be okay. He might even pop up on some other, US shows if he hasn't already.
Yeah. So I think that's about all we have for this episode. Is there anything more? No, that's about it.
No, I think that's about it. I mean, I'm very excited for episode 3. Yeah. We've seen some trailers, which I think was whether Sam and Sierra, whether they're like a couple, you know, how that comes about.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway.
I'm really enjoying this season so far. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about American Survivor because it's so different. It's so next gen, so new gen, but I'm really enjoying it so far.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think I'm actually really liking the show. I mean, in the beginning, I didn't even really know if I was actually going to talk about the show. Yeah. But now that I'm watching it, I'm really into it. I like it. It's different from Australian Survivor, and that's good, in a different way. Perfect. Right. Well, this is a wrap up, guys, and thank you so much for listening to the show. This is the Recreate podcast by Michael and Teresa. You can find us on Recreate on TikTok and Instagram. That's WRECK.CREATE, where you can find highlight videos of what we've talked about. If you like what you hear, be sure to like and subscribe to our pod. It really helps us a big deal, and we are extremely grateful for any support you give. We'll be back shortly with episode 3. Stay tuned.
See you.